Our big story this entire week, we are tracking Hurricane Milton all morning long for you. Millions across the state of Florida are on high alert as Milton is forecasted to hit the western coast of our state as a major hurricane. This will now be the third hurricane to make landfall in Florida this season, following Debbie and August and Helene just a week ago in the Big Bend region. All right, thanks for waking up with us on this Monday morning. It's going to be a busy week, South Florida. I'm Constance Jones. Chris Anderson has the morning off. NBC6 is on your side, preparing you for the storm. We are live in Miami-Dade and Broward counties with preparation and also current conditions. But we start today with our meteorologist, Chelsea Ambrose, with a look at the latest track.
Well, Milton, as of 5 a.m., some updates have come in. It's now up to a Category 2 storm. We have seen hurricane watches, tropical storm watches issued for Florida, and we now have a surge forecast that has come out. So I'll show you all of that in the next few minutes. But for now, here is where the storm is, its current position as of 5 a.m. It is still sitting just to the north and west of the Yucatan, and that is where winds max sustained up to 100 miles per hour, moving east-southeast at 8 miles per hour. Pressure down to 972 millibars. So every pass of the hurricane hunters going into the storm, it is rapidly intensifying, quickly going from a tropical storm to a Cat 1 hurricane. Now it's a Cat 2. It's forecast to get up to a Cat 3 by later on today, and ultimately a Cat 4 by tomorrow morning as it makes a pass just to the north of the Yucatan. But so notice, this is a pass with the center of the storm. Impacts are going to be felt, a wide range of impacts outside of that center of circulation. That is why hurricane warnings are in effect in red there for the northern portion of the Yucatan. Heavy rain as well as surge on that northern side still possible. It will continue to hold its Cat 4 structure until about Wednesday evening when it gets wrapped up into a cold front. So as it approaches Florida, it will weaken, but it is still likely to be a major hurricane. With the 5 a.m. update here, you can see that is where those hurricane watches are in effect. Anyone that's pretty much in the cone where that center could move are under those hurricane watches. The yellow tropical storm watches. The system will eventually fall apart as it stays wrapped up in that front into the weekend, but we'll have much improved conditions by then. As of now, the storm surge forecast for South Florida does indicate the Keys could see 1 to 3 foot surge as you get into mainland Monroe, 3 to 5, closer to Fort Myers, 5 to 10 foot surge, and then some of the highest surge will be into places like Tampa Bay, where 8 to 12 foot is possible. On top of that, you have to factor in the rainfall as well. So not only do you have ocean water getting pushed on shore, now we'll have rainfall that will come through and the gusty winds in general. So wind forecast does show it will bring those tropical and hurricane force winds to the Yucatan, but it expands in its coverage as it starts to approach the state of Florida. This is where it will be in the open waters. It will gain some structure, but once it gets wrapped up in that front, it will just be a wind forecast for us back home, although those impacts will be felt into places right into central parts of the Sunshine State. So our forecasted wind gusts, what we have out there now is not Milton. It's just a low pressure center that's off the coast of Florida. Winds will really start to pick up for us as we go into Wednesday morning. Earliest possible arrival time for tropical storm force winds does indicate those gusts in places like Key West, and then filling in for Wednesday through Thursday and even into Friday, we deal with some gusty conditions across the area. But we're also watching that rainfall. Steady rainfall between now and Wednesday will give us about 2 to 4 inches of rain, locally up to 6 inches, and then you add the tropical moisture on top of that. So between now and Thursday, that's where we get that 4 to 8 potential of accumulation with localized areas even up to 10 inches. So it will be a rainy forecast between now and Thursday. Otherwise, I'll send things back over to you, Constance.
All right, Chelsea, thank you. And this morning, as Chelsea mentioned, we're already seeing some flooding with all the rain that we've been getting. NBC6's Shanae Amar, she is live for us in Dania Beach with more on what we should know about this.
Hey, Constance, good morning. Yeah, so I'm standing at the border between Dania Beach and Hollywood. So right across the street, that is technically Dania Beach. Again, where I am standing right now, this is Hollywood. And Linda, I'm going to have you bring the camera back around because take a look. So right here, this is the sidewalk. So you see where the water is. It is well above my ankles. And as we look out onto the roadway, it is just covered. You really can't see the difference between the roadway and the sidewalk. And as these cars, these vehicles approached right here, coming down Sheridan. You can see what these cars are dealing with. As they push the water this way, you see the waves start to come. As I'm standing on the sidewalk, I can feel those waves, and they push over. You can just feel it all. It splashes right up against the sidewalk. So again, this is Sheridan and Southeast 2nd. Obviously, the roadway is flooded. This is clearly much closer to the coast. So as we get further east, yeah, you're having flooding issues in the area. The good news here, the rain does seem to have lightened up a bit at this current moment. But again, it has obviously just been piling on throughout the morning. So that's what we're dealing with here in the Hollywood, Dania Beach area as you approach or as you head further east. Just real situations with flooding issues. But again, I'm going to send it back to you in studio, Constance, as we continue to drive around the area and see the different impacts based on different neighborhoods around Hollywood and Dania Beach. Constance.
All right, Shernay. Yeah, we're already so saturated. Just imagine how things are going to be in another day or two. Shernay, thank you for those live images. And Miami-Dade County residents can get some help protecting their homes from potential flooding. NBC6's Julia Bagg joins us live with where you can get sandbags. Julia.
Yeah, and Constance, rain has been falling on and off here in Hialeah this morning. A driver came through when we last spoke asking, hey, where can I find that sand? And here at Amelia Earhart Park at 7 o'clock is when they are planning to start giving out those sandbags. You just don't want to forget to bring your proof of residency.
The city of North Miami Beach kicked off sandbag distribution early, assisting more than 200 residents on Sunday alone.
It's very important to have some sandbag to block your door. You know, when the water, you don't know the speed going to come. When the water comes, they might break the door.
Miami-Dade and Broward counties declared a state of emergency and will begin to work on mitigation efforts. The cities of Miami and Fort Lauderdale also declared a local state of emergency. Flooding appears to be the main threat for South Florida at this time. That's what Miami Mayor Francis Suarez is focusing on now.
We have multiple areas that have permanent pumps, and then we have temporary pumps that are staged throughout the city based on prior events, particularly events that we've seen recently. So we move them around depending on the vulnerable areas, and we can also move them in the moment, which is important. If we're seeing something that is worse than what we anticipated or that overwhelms a particular system, we can move a temporary pump to address that situation immediately.
And certainly residents in the city of Miami concerned about that. We see flooding in so many places so often there. So remember, back out here live for Hialeah residents at Amelia Earhart Park, you're really going to want to check with the municipality where you live when it comes to picking up sandbags, if that's what you're interested in this morning. And remember to bring proof of residency. And Constance, we have so many new families in South Florida just in the past few years. And so we've got a really great guide for hurricane preparation. You'll find that on your NBC6 app. Constance, we'll send things back to you.
Yeah, good reminder there, Julia. Thank you. Well, the city of Miami also giving out sandbags today. 3 different locations starting at 8 o'clock this morning till 7 p.m. Sandbags will be available at the Grapeland Park off of Northwest 37th Avenue. Also, Jose Marti Park Gym off of Southwest 3rd Avenue. And Little Haiti Park off of Northeast 62nd Street. Sandbags will also be available at 9 parks in Miami-Dade County. Today, the site's open in about 30 minutes at 7 a.m. We have a complete listing of all the locations and addresses on our website at NBC6.com. And part of Storm Preds includes making sure our furry friends are safe, too. So this morning, the Humane Society of Broward County packed up a van there with crates and left on a mission to rescue 29 cats and 8 dogs from a shelter in Manatee County. This is not the first time that Broward County Humane Society has done this. They've also helped 2 shelters in the Big Bend region after Helene. We spoke to the director of operations, who says a lot of the shelters in the state felt they needed to be organized in anticipation for Milton.
I have to believe our community more than any understands adopt, don't shop. I think we had about 55 adoptions this weekend. We were really super busy. So we're so blessed and so lucky. We can only do this because our community comes here and adopts and keeps the kind of the flow of animals moving.
Well, we're told helping with the animals also helps with people working at the shelter. So Focusing on personal things like their homes and evacuation plans. Again, adoptions are why they have the space available at this time. They're open for adoptions daily from 11 a.m. to 5:30. Also, stay with NBC6 as we bring you continuing coverage of Hurricane Milton. We are on your side with what you need to know on air and across our digital platforms. And with the rain, there are also some slippery roadways out there. Our traffic anchor, Joanna Torres, has more on what you need to know this morning. And Joanna, surprising to see those flooded roadways as well.
Yeah, flooded roadways and a lot of wet roadways right now, even when it's not raining on and off, right? But right now, we're still dealing with a parking lot situation on the Dolphin Expressway heading westbound at Lejeune Road due to this major accident involving this rollover car here and another accident in the same area involving several cars as well. They just reopened one lane, but traffic is still crawling by the Dolphin Expressway right now. Cars are being forced off even before that. So if you can, avoid the Dolphin Expressway, take Northwest 7th Street as an alternate route, or the Palmetto or the Turnpike. Because again, the trickling effects of that major accident just has traffic completely backed up on the Dolphin Expressway. Other than that, things are looking pretty good for the most part in other parts of Broward and Miami. But again, just drive safe before you head out there this morning. Constance.
Well, today marks a solemn milestone, 1 year since the October 7th Hamas terror attack that killed more than 1,200 people in Israel and kidnapped at least 250 people. A siren ringing out at around 6:29 in Israel to mark the hour when the Hamas-led militants launched rockets into Israel last year. Well, today, Israelis carrying flags and images of hostages gathering outside of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's home in Jerusalem. According to officials, security forces are on high alert across the country in anticipation of possible Palestinian attacks. Well, since October 7th, the world has watched as hostages' families have called for the return of their loved ones being held captive in Gaza. NBC6's Lena Salzbank spoke with one of those families who looks back at a painful year while offering a message of hope for the future.
Reflecting on the year, Maya Rahman says she and her family have experienced the best and the worst days of their lives.
I've had some really amazing moments of coming to see, you know, the strength of the human spirit. And at the same time, we've also seen the cynicism of how the world is. And of course, just the tragedy of you know, realizing that a person you did everything to save has been murdered brutally.
The 37-year-old from Tel Aviv says she remembers October 7th, the sound of sirens and alarms blaring as Hamas launched its attack on Israel.
We went from, oh, there are missiles. Actually, there are terrorists within the country. Actually, there are, you know, dozens of people injured and a few people murdered, to, oh, there are thousands of people injured and hundreds murdered or thousands murdered.
Maya would soon learn that her cousin, Yarden, and Yarden's sister-in-law, Carmel Gott, had been taken hostage from their family's home in Kibbutz Be'eri.
4 armed gunmen, terrorists, entered his parents' home.
54 days into the war, Maya says a miracle happened and Yarden was released as part of a temporary ceasefire and prisoner exchange deal back in November.
It was amazing to hear her, and she came by helicopter, and we saw her, and she looked the same.
The family now waiting for Carmel's return.
When Yarden came back, we were sure that Carmel was coming back.
In August, the IDF announced they found Carmel's body, along with 5 other hostages, executed by Hamas in a tunnel beneath the city of Rafah.
Just the image of them being executed, being, you know, shot in the head, helpless, defenseless, after they survived for 11 months. I think that is, to me at least, the most horrifying part of it.
With the new year, Maya says she will continue fighting for the remaining 101 hostages still held captive in Gaza. Lena Salzbank, NBC6 News.
Well, throughout the day today, NBC6 will have extensive coverage on the ongoing conflicts, stories of survivors, and also how the war has impacted communities right here in South Florida. Our time now, 6:42. Our Miami Dolphins bouncing back against the Patriots. We got to look at the highlights after this quick break.